The warning. The massive alien fleet moved through space like a dark cloud of death. 2,000 ships stretched across the stars, their black metal hulls glowing with red energy. At the front flew the command ship Destroyer of Worlds, home to the mighty Zephyrian Empire's war fleet. Inside the ship's main hall, alien warriors celebrated their next victory. The Zephyrians looked like giant lizards walking on two legs. Their skin was gray and covered in thick scales. Sharp teeth filled their mouths, and their yellow eyes glowed with hunger for battle. 47 worlds have fallen before us, roared General Krax, the fleet commander. His voice echoed through the metal halls. Tomorrow we take the 48th world. The humans call it Earth. The warriors cheered and banged their weapons on the floor. The sound was like thunder. They had never lost a battle. Every species they met had surrendered or died fighting. The Zephyrians were the strongest race in the galaxy. But in the back of the hall, one warrior did not cheer. Commander Vex stood alone, his arms crossed. His scales were darker than the others, marked with scars from many battles. He had fought for the Empire for 30 years. He had seen worlds burn and entire species bow before Zephyrian power. But Earth was different. Commander Vex! General Krax's voice cut through the noise. Why do you not celebrate with your brothers? All eyes turned to Vex. The hall became quiet. Vex stepped forward, his heavy boots clicking on the metal floor. General, Vex said slowly, I must speak about the humans. Krax laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. The humans? Those weak, soft creatures. What about them? Vex's yellow eyes grew serious. I have fought them before, sir. 10 years ago on their colony world Mars. The other warriors looked confused. Mars had been a small battle, barely worth remembering. The Empire had won easily. That was just a mining colony, said Captain Zora, Krax's second in command. A few hundred humans with basic weapons. We crushed them in 3 days. No, Vex said firmly. We did not crush them. They stopped fighting after 3 days because they ran out of bullets, but they never surrendered. The hall became even quieter. In the Empire, surrender was common. When a species saw they could not win, they gave up to save lives. It was logical. It was smart. I remember that battle clearly, Vex continued. 50 human miners against my entire battalion of 2,000 warriors. They had simple guns and mining tools. We had plasma cannons and battle armor. He paused, remembering. On the first day, we killed half of them. They kept fighting. On the second day, we destroyed their main building. They kept fighting from the ruins. On the third day, they were down to 20 humans. Some were wounded and bleeding, but they still kept fighting. General Krax waved his hand. So what, they were fools. They should have surrendered. That's just it, Vex said, his voice getting louder. They don't surrender, ever. When we finally reached their last position, the humans had no more bullets. So they charged at us with mining picks and metal bars, bleeding, dying humans running straight at our plasma guns. The warriors shifted uncomfortably. This didn't sound right. No species fought without hope of winning. One human, Vex continued, had lost his arm to a plasma blast. He was bleeding badly and could barely stand. But when he saw me, he picked up a rock and threw it at my head. Then he charged me with his bare hands. Captain Zora laughed nervously. One human against a Zephyrian warrior. What happened? Vex touched a long scar on his neck. He almost killed me. Even with one arm and half dead, he fought like 10 warriors. We had to shoot him 5 times before he stopped moving. The hall was completely silent now. These humans, Vex said, looking directly at General Krax, they will bleed. They will die, but they will never surrender. Earth is not just another world to conquer. It's their home, and they will fight for it with everything they have. General Krax slammed his fist on his command chair. Enough, you speak like a coward, Vex. Humans are weak. They have soft skin and small teeth. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. Yes, sir, Vex said quietly. They are weaker than us. Their weapons are primitive, but they have something we don't understand. What? Krax demanded. They never give up. Never. And that makes them the most dangerous enemy we have ever faced. General Krax stood up, his full height towering over the other warriors. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We are conquerors of worlds. Tomorrow we will show these humans what real power looks like. The warriors cheered again, but their voices were not as loud as before. Some of them looked worried. Vex stepped back into the shadows. He had tried to warn them, but like all the times before, no one listened to the old warrior who had seen too much. As the celebration continued, Vex looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. A small blue world full of strange creatures who didn't know when to quit. "You should have listened," he whispered to himself. "The humans are coming, and they never ever surrender." President Sarah Chen sat in the White House Situation Room, staring at the massive screen in front of her. The room was full of her top advisors, military generals and scientists. Everyone looked worried and scared. On the screen was a message that had appeared on every television, computer and phone on Earth just 1 hour ago. The alien letters slowly changed into English words that made everyone's blood run cold. "People of Earth, we are the Zephyrian Empire. Your world will surrender in 24 hours. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities. Resistance is useless. Prepare for occupation." General Morrison, the head of Earth's military, shook his head. "Madam President, our satellites show their fleet. It's huge. 2,000 ships, maybe more. Our entire military couldn't fight even one of their big ships." President Chen looked around the room. "What are our options?" Dr. Rebecca Walsh, the head scientist, spoke up. "We've tried to contact them using every radio frequency we know. They won't talk to us. It's surrender or fight." "And if we fight?" the president asked. General Morrison was quiet for a moment. "We'll lose, but maybe we can make them pay a price for taking our world." Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in the small town of Millfield, life was continuing as normal. People didn't know that alien ships were hiding behind the moon, watching their every move. Tom Bradley was fixing his truck in his garage. He was a simple mechanic who had lived in Millfield his whole life. His wife Mary was making lunch in the kitchen. Their 10-year-old daughter Emma was playing with her dog in the backyard. "Dad," Emma called out, "look at the sky. There are weird lights." Tom walked outside and looked up. 3 silver objects were floating in the air above the town. They were perfectly still, like they were studying everything below. "Mary," Tom shouted to his wife, "come see this." Mary ran outside, wiping her hands on her apron. "What are those things?" Before Tom could answer, a loud voice boomed from the sky. It spoke in perfect English, but the voice sounded cold and mechanical. "Humans of Millfield, your leaders have not responded to our demands. We will now show you the price of resistance." People came out of their houses all over town. Children pointed at the sky. Old people grabbed their phones to call their families. Everyone was confused and scared. The voice continued, "We will give you 1 hour to evacuate. After that, this town will be destroyed as an example to your species." Tom grabbed his daughter's hand. "Emma, go get your backpack. We need to leave right now." But Emma looked up at her father with determined eyes. "Dad, this is our home. Why should we leave?" "Because those things can kill us, sweetheart," Tom said gently. "But if we run away, what about our house?" "What about Buddy?" Emma pointed to her dog. Tom looked around at his neighbors. Old Mr. Peterson was standing on his porch, holding his hunting rifle. Mrs. Johnson was herding her 3 children toward her car. But many people were just standing there looking angry instead of scared. "You know what?" Tom said, making a decision that would change everything. "You're right, Emma. This is our home." He walked to his garage and came back with his own hunting rifle. "Mary, take Emma to the basement. I'm going to talk to the neighbors." Within 30 minutes, something impossible happened. Instead of running away, the people of Millfield decided to fight. Tom and 20 other men gathered in the town square. They had hunting rifles, shotguns, and some old military weapons from their army days. "This is crazy," said Jim Walsh, the town sheriff. "We can't fight alien spaceships with hunting guns." "Maybe not," Tom replied. "But I'm not leaving my home without a fight." The alien ships began to descend. They were huge, each one the size of a football field. Strange weapons extended from their hulls, glowing with blue energy. On the lead ship, Commander Sek looked down at the small group of humans. "Look at them," he told his crew. 20 primitive humans with basic weapons. This will be over in minutes. But Commander Sek had never fought humans before. The first alien soldiers came down on beams of light. They were tall and covered in silver armor. Their weapons looked like advanced rifles that shot blue energy instead of bullets. "Fire!" Tom shouted. The humans opened fire with everything they had. Their bullets bounced off the alien armor, but the noise was incredible. The aliens had expected the humans to run or hide. Instead, they were shooting back. One alien soldier was hit in a weak spot in his armor and fell down. The humans cheered and kept shooting. "Impossible," Commander Sek said from his ship. "Our armor should protect against their weapons." But the humans weren't just shooting. They were thinking. Tom noticed that the aliens were slower to turn around because of their heavy armor. He shouted to his neighbors, "Move around. Don't stay in one place." Mrs. Peterson, who was 70 years old, started throwing glass bottles filled with gasoline at the aliens. When they exploded, the fire made the aliens step back. Young Jake Morrison, who was only 16, used his knowledge of the town to set traps. He led aliens into narrow alleys where they couldn't use their big weapons effectively. The battle that was supposed to last 10 minutes went on for 1 hour, then 2 hours, then 4 hours. Commander Sek watched in shock as his soldiers struggled against the small group of humans. "How are they still fighting? We've wounded half of them." His second-in-command, Captain Nex, was equally confused. "Sir, even their wounded ones keep shooting. One human has been hit twice, but he's still throwing explosive devices at our troops." By the 6th hour, something had changed. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but the humans had something else. They knew every street, every building, every hiding place in their town, and they were fighting for their children, their homes, their way of life. Tom Bradley was bleeding from a cut on his head, but he was still coordinating the defense. "Jake, take 5 men and hit them from the school. Sheriff, you and your boys attack from the church. Make them split up." The humans had learned to work together like never before. The old and the young, men and women, everyone who could hold a weapon was fighting. Commander Sek finally called for backup. "Command ship, this is Sek. Send reinforcements immediately." General Krax's voice came over the radio, angry and confused. "Reinforcements? For one small human town? How many humans are you fighting?" 20, sir. Maybe 25. There was a long silence. "Did you say 20 humans are holding off your entire attack force?" "Yes, sir. They won't stop fighting, even when they're wounded, even when they're outnumbered 10 to 1. On the command ship, Commander Vex heard the conversation. He walked over to General Krax and said quietly, "I told you, sir. They never surrender." General Krax slammed his fist on his chair. "Send 2 more attack ships to that town. End this now." Back in Millfield, Tom saw more alien ships appearing in the sky. He knew they couldn't win, but as he looked around at his neighbors, his friends, his family, he realized something important: win or lose. They had shown the aliens that humans don't give up easily. "Emma," he called to his daughter, who was helping reload weapons in the basement. "No matter what happens, remember this day. Remember that your dad and all these good people fought for our home." Emma nodded, tears in her eyes but determination on her face. "I will, Dad, and someday I'll fight too." As night fell over Millfield, the battle continued. The humans were tired, wounded, and running low on ammunition, but they were still fighting. And across the galaxy, other alien races monitoring Earth's communications heard something that made them very afraid. The humans weren't begging for mercy. They weren't trying to negotiate. They were getting angry. Commander Vex looked at the reports coming in from Millfield and shook his head. "General," he said to Krax, "we need to end this quickly. Because if 20 humans can fight like this, what will happen when all of Earth decides to fight back?" General Krax stared at the battle reports, his yellow eyes wide with the emotion he had never felt before. The alien soldier Kex was shaking as he crouched behind a destroyed car in downtown New York. His silver armor was cracked, and green blood dripped from a wound in his arm. He spoke into his radio with a voice full of panic. "Command, this is Kex. The human is still coming. He's been shot 3 times, but he won't stop." 50 meters away, Staff Sergeant Mike Torres crawled forward on his belly. His military uniform was torn and soaked with blood. A plasma blast had hit his left leg, and another had grazed his shoulder, but his eyes were still focused, and his rifle was still in his hands. "Sir, please stop." Kex called out to Torres. "You're badly wounded. You need medical help." Torres looked up at the alien with cold, determined eyes. "This is my city," he said through gritted teeth. "And you're not welcome here. He fired 3 shots. Kex barely managed to duck behind the car as bullets sparked off the metal. Back on the command ship, General Krax stared at the battle reports coming in from around the world. The full invasion had begun 6 hours ago. His forces had attacked major cities on every continent: New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Cairo, Sydney. The results were not what he had expected. "Sir," Captain Nex reported, "we've destroyed most of Earth's military bases. Their air force is gone. Their navy can't reach us, but what?" Krax demanded. "The humans aren't surrendering. They're getting more aggressive. Every time we destroy one of their military units, 10 more civilian fighters appear." Krax looked at the screen showing the battle in London. His forces had easily taken control of the government buildings and major roads, but human fighters were attacking from every direction. Office workers were throwing homemade bombs from tall buildings. Shop owners were shooting from their stores. Even children were helping by carrying messages between fighter groups. "This doesn't make sense," Krax said. "When we invaded Theta Prime, the population surrendered after we destroyed their capital. When we conquered Beta Station, they gave up when we cut off their power. Why won't these humans quit?" Commander Vex, who had been quietly watching the reports, stepped forward. "Because, sir, we're not just fighting their army. We're fighting their entire species." In Tokyo, 68-year-old grandmother Akiko Tanaka was teaching her neighbors how to make weapons from kitchen supplies. She had lived through many hard times and wasn't about to let aliens destroy her city. "Take this rice cooker," she explained to a group of frightened people hiding in the subway. "Fill it with nails and batteries. When the aliens come close, you press this button." "Mrs. Tanaka," said young Hiroshi, who worked at a computer company, "we're just normal people. We don't know how to fight." Akiko smiled, but her eyes were hard as steel. "Today you learn. These aliens think we will run like scared mice. They are wrong." When the alien soldiers found the subway entrance, they expected to find helpless civilians begging for mercy. Instead, they found Akiko and 30 other ordinary people ready to fight. The aliens were stronger, faster, and better armed. But the humans knew the subway tunnels like their own homes. They led the aliens into traps, attacked from hidden positions, and disappeared into the darkness before the aliens could fight back. In Mumbai, Dr. Priya Sharma was operating on wounded fighters in a hospital basement. She had been a surgeon for 15 years, saving lives every day. Now she was learning to take them. "Doctor," said her assistant, "there are alien soldiers in the upper floors. They're looking for you." Dr. Sharma didn't stop working on her patient. "Let them come. I have work to do." When 3 alien soldiers broke into the basement, they found Dr. Sharma standing over her operating table. Her hands were covered in blood, and her face was calm and focused. "Surrender, human," the lead alien said in broken English. "We will not harm medical workers." Dr. Sharma looked at him and picked up a surgical knife. "These people are my patients. You want to hurt them. You go through me first." The aliens laughed. One human woman with a small knife against 3 trained soldiers? It would be over in seconds. They were wrong. Dr. Sharma had steady hands and knew exactly where to cut to cause the most damage. She moved like a dancer, avoiding their heavy weapons and striking at weak points in their armor. When more humans arrived to help her, the aliens found themselves fighting a battle they couldn't win in a place they didn't understand. Back in New York, Sergeant Torres had finally reached the alien position. Kex raised his weapon, but his hands were shaking so badly he couldn't aim properly. "Why won't you just die?" Kex screamed. Torres smiled, even though blood was running down his face. "Because this is Tuesday, and I haven't finished my job yet." He tackled the alien soldier, and they both crashed through a store window. People inside the store, a baker, 2 teenagers, and an old man with a walking stick, immediately joined the fight. Captain Nex's voice came over every alien radio in the city. "All units retreat to safe positions. The humans are coordinating attacks across all sectors." But there were no safe positions. The humans were everywhere. On the command ship, the reports kept getting worse. "Sir, we've lost contact with 12 attack groups," reported Lieutenant Zor. "Sir, the humans in Cairo have somehow gotten their hands on our weapons and are using them against us," said another officer. "Sir, a group of human children in Sydney have disabled 3 of our vehicles using some kind of sticky substance." General Crack slammed his fist on his command chair. How is this possible? We have the most advanced military in the galaxy. Commander Vex stepped closer. General, may I show you something? He pointed to a screen showing a street battle in London. A human woman was lying on the ground, badly wounded. Alien soldiers were walking past her, thinking she was dead. But as they passed, she pulled the pin from a grenade and held it tight. Watch, Vex said quietly. The woman waited until all 3 aliens were close to her. Then she let go of the grenade. The explosion killed her instantly. It also took out all 3 alien soldiers. She was dying anyway, Vex explained to the shocked bridge crew. So she decided to take our warriors with her. This is what I tried to tell you. Humans don't just fight to win. They fight because they cannot do anything else. General Crack stared at the screen. But that's insane. She gained nothing from that action. She saved other humans who were hiding in that building, Vex replied. To her, that was worth dying for. Another report came in. Sir, we've taken most government buildings, but we can't control any population centers. Every human settlement is resisting. They're using cars, trucks, construction equipment, even bicycles as weapons. Captain Nex looked worried. Sir, our casualties are rising fast. We've lost more soldiers in 6 hours of fighting humans than we lost in 6 months of fighting the Centauri Federation. Impossible, Crack shouted. The Centauri had advanced weapons and space fighters. Yes, sir, Captain Nex replied. But when we destroyed their main fleet, they surrendered. The humans don't have a main fleet. Every single one of them is fighting like they're the last soldier in their army. On Earth, the word was spreading through social media, radio, and word of mouth. The aliens could destroy buildings and vehicles, but they couldn't break the human spirit. In schools that had been evacuated, teachers were organizing resistance groups. In hospitals, doctors were treating fighters and learning to fight themselves. In nursing homes, elderly people who hadn't held weapons in decades were teaching young people lessons from old wars. Most surprising of all, children were not running and hiding. They were helping in any way they could, carrying supplies, sending messages, and even fighting when they had to. 12-year-old Marcus Johnson in Detroit had lost his parents in the first attack. He was found 3 hours later by alien soldiers sitting in his destroyed house. Human child, the alien soldier said, "Where are your guardians?" Marcus looked up with tears in his eyes, but his voice was steady. "They're dead. You killed them." The alien felt something like pity. "Come with us. We will take you somewhere safe." Marcus stood up and picked up his father's baseball bat. "I'm not going anywhere with you." The alien soldier was confused. "Child, you cannot fight us. You will die." Marcus gripped the bat tighter. "Maybe, but my dad taught me never to quit, and I'm not quitting on him now." When backup arrived, they found the alien soldier unconscious and Marcus guarding his house with the baseball bat, still ready to fight. Stories like this were happening everywhere. Humans who should have been helpless were fighting back. Humans who should have surrendered were getting stronger. Humans who should have died were finding ways to keep fighting. Commander Vex watched all the reports and shook his head sadly. "General, I request permission to speak freely." "Granted," Crack said, looking exhausted. "Sir, we need to withdraw immediately." "Withdraw? We're the Zephyrian Empire. We don't withdraw." Vex pointed to the screens showing battles across Earth. "Look at these reports, sir. Really look at them. We're not fighting an army. We're fighting a species that doesn't know how to quit. Every human we kill makes the others fight harder. Every building we destroy makes them more angry. We're not conquering Earth, sir. We're teaching humans how to kill us." General Crax looked at the screens. In every city, humans were still fighting. Bleeding, wounded, outnumbered, but still fighting. For the first time in his military career, General Crax began to understand what fear really meant. "Sir," Captain Nex said quietly, "what are your orders?" General Crax stared at Earth on the main screen. A small, blue world full of creatures who refused to behave the way conquered species were supposed to behave. "Send a message to High Command," he said slowly. Tell them we need more ships." Commander Vex closed his eyes. More ships meant more dead aliens, because the humans would keep fighting until every last one of them was gone. And maybe, Vex thought, even that wouldn't be enough to stop them. They never surrender. 3 more alien fleets had arrived at Earth. The sky was now black with enemy ships, over 5,000 vessels surrounding the small blue planet. General Crack stood on his command bridge, sure that this massive force would finally break human resistance. He was wrong. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been a rocket scientist for NASA before the invasion. Now she was something else entirely, a human who had learned to turn alien technology against its creators. "Miguel, hand me that plasma core," she called to her assistant in the underground lab they had built beneath Mexico City. Miguel Santos had been a car mechanic. Now he was helping build weapons that could reach space. "Dr. Rodriguez, are you sure this will work?" Elena smiled as she connected alien power cells to a modified rocket engine. "Miguel, 3 days ago I didn't know aliens existed. Today I'm building a spaceship from their own parts. I'm not sure of anything anymore, but I'm going to try." Above them, the city was in ruins. But below ground, in sewers and basements and subway tunnels, humans were doing the impossible. They were adapting. In London, Farmer James McAllister was teaching a group of survivors how to use captured alien vehicles. "These flying machines are just like tractors," he explained, "sitting in the pilot seat of an alien scout ship. Same basic controls, forward, back, up, down. The aliens make it look hard, but it's not." Sarah Chen, a college student who had never driven anything more complicated than a bicycle, raised her hand. "But Mr. McAllister, what if we crash?" James laughed, but his eyes were hard. "Sarah, dear, they destroyed my farm, killed my livestock, and burned my fields. If I crash into their big ship while trying to stop them, I call that a good day." Within hours, humans were flying stolen alien vehicles across Earth's skies. They couldn't pilot them as well as the aliens, but they didn't need to. They just needed to cause trouble. On the Zephyrian command ship, alarms were going off everywhere. "Sir," Captain Neck shouted over the noise, "humans have somehow taken control of 47 of our scout vehicles." General Crax couldn't believe what he was hearing. "That's impossible. Those ships require advanced training to operate." "Tell that to the humans, sir. They're using our own ships to attack our supply convoys." Commander Vex looked at the tactical display and shook his head. "General, look at this pattern. The humans aren't trying to win big battles. They're cutting off our fuel lines, destroying our food supplies, attacking our communication relays." "So what?" Crack snapped. "Sir, they're thinking like a species that's been invaded before. They know they can't beat us in direct combat, so they're making it impossible for us to stay here." At that moment, another alarm sounded. Lieutenant Zor's voice came over the comm. "Command ship, we have a problem. The humans have reached orbit." "What?" Crack screamed. "How?" On the main screen, they could see it. A makeshift human spacecraft rising from Earth's surface. It was built from alien parts, Earth rockets, and what looked like a school bus welded to the front. Inside the strange ship, Elena Rodriguez was piloting while Miguel worked the weapon systems they had jury-rigged from alien plasma cannons. "Dr. Rodriguez," Miguel said nervously, "we're really in space. And there are a lot of alien ships up here. I see them, Miguel. Target that supply ship on the left, the big one with all the cargo pods. But there are 50 alien fighters between us and that ship." Elena's voice was calm but determined. "Miguel, my daughter was in Mexico City when they attacked. I haven't found her body yet, but I know she's gone. Those aliens took everything I ever loved, so right now, I don't really care how many fighters they have." She pushed the engines to maximum power and aimed directly at the alien supply ship. The Zephyrian pilots couldn't believe what they were seeing. A single human ship was charging straight at them, ignoring all the weapons firing at it. "Human vessel," came a voice over the radio. "You are outnumbered 50-1. Surrender now and we will make your death quick." Elena picked up the radio and replied, "Zephyrian vessel, you killed my child. Surrender now and I'll make your death quick." Miguel looked at her with wide eyes. "Dr. Rodriguez, we're not going to survive this." "No, Miguel, we're not. But that supply ship feeds 1,000 alien soldiers. When we destroy it, 1,000 aliens will go hungry tonight." She pressed the firing button and launched every missile they had built. The explosion lit up space like a second sun. Back on Earth, the impossible was happening everywhere. In Tokyo, 85-year-old Kenji Nakamura had been captured by alien soldiers. They brought him to their temporary base, thinking an old man would be harmless. They were wrong. Kenji had been a soldier in World War II. He knew things about fighting that the aliens couldn't understand. Old human, the alien guard said. You will tell us where the other humans are hiding. Kenji looked up at the 7-foot-tall alien and smiled. Young lizard, I was fighting wars before your species learned to make fire. You want information from me? Come and take it. What happened next became a legend among the human resistance. An 85-year-old man with arthritis and bad knees somehow escaped from an alien prison, disabled 3 guards, and stole their weapons. When human fighters arrived at the base 6 hours later, they found Kenji sitting in the command chair, calmly reading an alien manual. Grandfather Kenji, called out Yuki, one of the young fighters. How did you do this? Kenji shrugged. They're strong and they have good weapons, but they fight like machines. No creativity, no heart. They expect their enemies to be logical. He pointed to the disabled aliens around him. I am 85 years old and half blind. Logic says I cannot fight 7-foot-tall monsters with advanced weapons, so I didn't use logic. I used anger. Stories like this were spreading across the planet. Humans were doing things that should have been impossible because they didn't know they were impossible. In Australia, a group of captured humans had been put in a prison camp surrounded by electric fences and guard towers. The aliens thought the humans would stay there quietly until the war was over. Instead, the humans organized. Lisa Wong, who had been an electrical engineer, figured out how to disable the fence. Bob Mitchell, who had been a gym teacher, organized exercise routines that were actually combat training. Mary O'Connor, who had been a nurse, set up a medical station and taught everyone basic first aid. When the aliens checked on the prison camp, they found it empty except for a note written in English. Thanks for the free military training. We'll be in touch. The humans. 200 escaped prisoners joined resistance groups across Australia. But more importantly, they had learned something. Even as prisoners, humans could organize and fight back. General Krax stared at the reports coming in from every corner of his invasion force. Everywhere his troops went, humans adapted. Every tactic he used, humans found a counterattack. Every strength his forces had, humans found a way to turn into a weakness. Sir, Captain Neck said quietly, we've been fighting for 72 hours. Our casualty reports are concerning. How concerning? Krax demanded. Sir, we've lost more soldiers in 3 days of fighting humans than we lost in our entire war against the Hegemony Alliance. Commander Vex stepped forward. General, there's something else. The humans we've captured, they're not giving us any useful information. Of course not. We expected them to resist interrogation. No, sir, you don't understand. They're not resisting. They're lying. But they're all telling the same lies, like they planned it. Somehow, even our prisoners are still fighting us. On Earth, a captured human who called himself Joe was being questioned by alien intelligence officers. Human Joe, the alien interrogator said. Tell us about your military bases. Joe nodded helpfully. Oh sure, we keep all our weapons in big red buildings with signs that say secret weapons on them. You can't miss them. The alien wrote this down. And your leaders? They all live in the big White House in Washington. They wear special hats, so you know they're in charge. Very easy to spot. After Joe was led back to his cell, he smiled. He wasn't a soldier or a spy. He was an insurance salesman from Ohio. But he had watched enough movies to know how to waste the aliens' time with useless information. Every captured human was doing the same thing. Teachers, doctors, shop owners. All of them had become part of the resistance simply by refusing to help their captors. General Krax called his senior officers to an emergency meeting. Report, he ordered. Captain Nex looked exhausted. Sir, we control most major cities, but we can't keep them. Every time we secure an area, humans attack from somewhere else. We destroy one resistance group and 2 more appear. Our supply lines are constantly under attack, added Lieutenant Zor. Humans have learned to use our own weapons against us. They're stealing our vehicles, capturing our equipment, even eating our food. And, sir, said Commander Tex, the intelligence officer, the human prisoners are useless. They either lie to us or tell us things we already know. Some of them even seem to be enjoying being captured. General Krax slammed his fist on the table. This is impossible. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. Commander Vex spoke quietly. General, perhaps that's the problem. What do you mean? Sir, those other 47 worlds had governments, armies, and organized resistance. When we defeated their leaders and destroyed their military, the population surrendered. But humans don't seem to have a central control system. Every single one of them acts like a separate military unit. Vex pointed to a map of Earth covered in red dots, showing human resistance activities. Look at this, sir. Every city, every town, every farm has organized its own defense. We're not fighting one human army. We're fighting 7 billion individual human armies. The room was quiet as the officers absorbed this information. Finally, General Krax asked the question that had been bothering him for days. Commander Vex, in your professional opinion, can we win this war? Vex looked at his general for a long moment. Sir, we can kill every human on Earth, but we cannot make them surrender. And as long as even one human is alive, they will find a way to fight us. At that moment, alarms began going off again. Sir, Captain Nex called out, we're receiving reports from all sectors. The humans have launched simultaneous attacks on 12 of our major positions. How is that possible? They don't have the communication systems to coordinate attacks across the planet. Sir, came another voice over the comm. The humans are using our own communication networks against us. They've somehow learned to hack our systems. General Krax stared at the tactical display showing human attacks happening everywhere at once. In space, more jury-rigged human ships were attacking his supply lines. On the ground, human fighters were hitting his troops from every direction. In his own prison camps, captured humans were staging breakouts. This is insane, he whispered. They're just humans. They should be easy to defeat. Commander Vex looked at Earth on the main screen, a small blue world that refused to behave like a conquered planet. General, he said sadly, I tried to warn you. Humans are the only species I've ever encountered that gets more dangerous when you hurt them. General Krax sat heavily in his command chair. For the first time since the invasion began, he was starting to understand that the Zephyrian Empire might have made a terrible mistake. Sir, Captain Nex said hesitantly, what are your orders? General Krax looked at the reports of human resistance activities, the casualty numbers, and the supply problems. Then he looked at Earth, still blue, still beautiful, and still full of humans who refused to quit. Send a message to High Command, he said slowly. Tell them we need to discuss alternative strategies. Commander Vex knew what that meant. For the first time in Zephyrian military history, they were considering retreat. But he also knew it might be too late. The humans had learned how to fight back. And once humans learned something, they never forgot it.